women's attraction mechanisms are a little different than men. Like men, it's kind of like, okay, you know, tits, ass, waist, face, like, you know, these are the things, right? Like whatever it is that you care about, like it's purely physical.
Correct.
Like a girl can go down in points to me if she's a fucking idiot or she's obnoxious or whatever, she sucks in bed. There's like all these things that she can go down. But if a girl's really funny or witty, it's not going to make me want to fuck her anymore.
If she makes more money, it doesn't make any difference to you.
Yeah, like maybe dating, but like as far as like actually having sex, it is purely physical.
Yes.
Like whether or not I find them attractive or not is not going to be swayed by how funny she is. That's going to make me want to hang out with her more or date her or whatever. But as far as sticking my dick in her, that is purely a function of her attractiveness,
yes.
right?
Evolutionary psychology.
Yes, but with women, there's a lot more factors at play. There's like, can this guy provide for me? Is it safe? Like there's, you know, many things that through evolution have become attraction mechanisms for them. And so, you know, fame basically just kind of like checks a lot of those boxes. And so it's, you know, it's like it's like, oh, you know, the guy's popular. It's like he's, you know, a man of importance. There's just like all these things, right? And so that one was more powerful than I expected it to be. I mean, I knew it was going to be powerful. I just didn't know it was going to be that powerful.
And then the other two things, the money and the pre-selection.
Money is important if you know how to use it. Yeah. I know a lot of rich guys that can't get pussy to save their fucking lives.
Right.
You know, and a lot of people are like, oh, if I had money, I'd be getting all this pussy. And it's like, it probably wouldn't be, dude. But, you know, it's cool you think that. Like, I know tons of rich guys that can't get laid. Like, and obviously, like, you know, most of your like club business is based on this motherfuckers, right?
Yeah.
Like, they go out there, they spend all this fucking money, and they never get laid. And I was just like, I saw this shit from a mile away. I'm like, why do these guys keep fucking doing it? But, you know, they go out and they start drinking, and then, you know, like they want to impress the girls, and the only thing that they know how to do is like lead with that money. And so it's like they get in this habit of leading with money, and the clubs, you know, encourage it, obviously. And so it's like, you know, and then you got their waitresses fucking chucking their fucking drinks, and, you know, they just start spending more and more, and the waitress comes up and like, oh, you know, do you want this bottle or do you want to spend this, you know? She's like, you know, and then the guy never wants to look like a cheap ass in front of the waitress, and he's drunk, and it's like, oh, I'll take 2 of those bottles, you know, whatever. And then he knows if he buys 3, the goddamn sparklers comes out. So, well, we don't want to miss the sparklers, you know? It's like these fucking idiots that have spent all this crazy bread, right? And it was just, you know, so that is a perfect example of how to spend money and not get pussy. But like, you can spend money and throw parties, you know, you could, you know, and, you know, fuck, some of these rich guys, they buy a modeling company. That's a great idea. You know, just like if you're surrounded by hot girls, you're going to have a better chance of hooking up with hot girls. And you're also going to like create competition, whether or not you're even hooking up with them. If you're just around a bunch of hot girls, I mean, you know that you're around hot girls all the fucking time, right? If you went to the bar with your dick in your hand, it's going to be a lot harder for you to get laid than if you walk in there with 3 dimes. You
it's
know?
Incredible. Like they'll just come up and talk to you.
Yeah.
Like you said before, women, like there's so many stories in there where women basically telling your friends, I just need to have sex with Dan. I'm here just to have sex with Dan.
Well, there's one story. I mean, that did happen. It didn't happen a crazy amount, but yeah, no, I remember one distinct time when, the girl literally those words, like, I need to have sex with Dan.
The guy was like bartender, but also the thing with Clarence where the girl was like, do you remember what I'm talking about? Where you're up at the cabin?
The cabin?
It's we'll talk about it later. But
which one?
There was a situation where you told a girl that she had to go down on Clarence, and maybe it wasn't Clarence.
Oh yeah, no, that was numerous times. There was many times when
So you literally told, just so we're clear, you told these girls they had to go down on your friends before they got to have sex with you,
or fuck them, or this or that. Like I would, because Clarence had horrible games. So like one of the things that I would do, like a lot of times, would be like, oh yeah, you know, I'll fuck you if you fuck Clarence, or maybe I'll fuck you, but you got to fuck Clarence first, or whatever. If he says, you know, it's good or whatever, then maybe I'll hook up with you. It was a lot of times I wouldn't even promise. It was just like, you know, you got to fuck him first or something like that. And yeah, girls would go in there and like, you know, wake him up, like hitting him in the face with their tits, or like go into his bed naked. And it's just like, it was funny because, you know, he'd like wake up and like kind of like begrudgingly be like, oh, this again, you know. But like, I knew that motherfucker still wanted, you know, he wanted to bang him, but he would like kind of like pretend like he wasn't stoked about it. But yeah, it was one of those things where I think also when you do that, the girls are like, what the fuck? You know, they're like, I got to bang this guy to maybe be able to hook up. You know, it's like, I don't know. But it would be like in times when like I literally couldn't hook up with him. Like I like had sex like 4 times or 5 times already, and I like just couldn't or didn't want to, or like I had another girl or whatever. And it was like, you know, so I'd throw him a bone and get him laid. And I did that with a lot of my friends. My cousin, I got him laid a lot. And yeah, a lot of my friends, I would, you know.
So it seems like you pushed a lot of people. So pre-selection is like an actual term in psychology. You push the limits to that, and there was no end to it. It felt like the more hot girls you were around, the more hot girls came. And you mentioned in the book, it just get like more and more and more until you get to the point where you're on a $300 million yacht with 27 women, and there's a girl who texts you about having a foursome, and you go to bed by yourself because you're miserable.
Well, there's a little more to that story, but it was one of those things where it wasn't really about pre-selection at that point. It was just about like an overwhelming amount. And so the mistake that I made on that trip is that I took too many girls that I had been dating, right? Like the key is to have like 3, maybe 5 max girls that you're fucking and that you're going to be obligated to fuck on a trip, and then have a bunch of other girls, right? You want new ones. And what I did on that trip, because I didn't want to be stuck with girls that sucked, I didn't want to have a bunch of like wild cards.
Yeah.
So I took girls that I knew were cool, that were hot, and that
Because they're going to be out there with you for a while.
yeah, right. So I like prioritized like them being cool and them being like known quantities over having a bunch of like new hot pussy, and that was a big mistake. And so I ended up just being like pulled in so many different directions, and I actually like, you know, pissed off more girls. And I didn't really have much sex. I actually had the least amount of sex I'd ever had. Because I like, I don't know, when it's like obligated, or when you feel like, you know, you have to, you kind of don't want to. It's like, I don't know, man. It's like human psychology. Like people want what they can't have. And it's like when things are being forced on you, if you feel like you have to do something, you kind of like subconsciously don't want to do it. And I'm like way more like that than anybody else I know. I've always wanted to do what I'm not supposed to do, and I never want to do what the fuck I'm told. So I don't know. I had a shitty time on that trip. Because I fucked up like the ratio of girls that I had been dating versus new ones, and that was a big mistake. And also, I had like just taken it to just an unnecessary level, you know. Like I always thought more was better, and it was like up until a certain point. But I actually like reached the point of like not only diminishing returns but negative returns, you know, where like it started going in the other direction.